Hello, everybody. A very, very warm welcome to Startup Evening at the AMTC 2022. I'm Melinda Crane, and what a pleasure to greet everybody who's with us both here in person. Isn't that still so wonderful that we can meet in person, and also following us online. A very warm hello to our online audience. And what a pleasure to see both old friends and new faces gathered here today. Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, over the past 5 years, the AMTC has become the platform for the additive manufacturing ecosystem. And because that ecosystem naturally includes both established big players and exciting new ones with big aims and lots of potential, we wanted to expand our Startup Evening into the afternoon. We've become bigger and better this year to give us an even better opportunity to get to know some of the startups who are entering the AM space. Our theme at this year's AMTC overall is connecting opportunities driving the AM ecosystem. And there's obviously no question that startups in segments ranging from hardware to software to services play a key role in building that ecosystem and in accelerating innovative solutions. We've got a fantastic program in store for you this evening, with keynotes sharing inside perspectives from both industry and academic leaders who are intimately acquainted with the startup scene. And it's no secret that turbulent times, like the present, do pose big challenges for startups. We'll be picking up on those in our panel discussion, which will look at both the challenges, but also the very exciting opportunities. And the startups, our expert speakers, will tell us their strategies for dealing with both. We've also got some very cool pitches for you later on. In just a moment, I'm going to hand over to my friend and colleague, Sven Krause, the moderator of this evening. But first, just a very quick word on what you can expect tomorrow. We'll start out at our AMTC 2022 tomorrow with greetings from our hosts and leading stakeholders. We'll hear a keynote from a visionary futurologist who has done his own short study on where AM stands today. He'll share the results with us. Then we'll move on to our first panel on updates and priorities, looking at the uncertain economic climate in which we are and asking what is needed to boost AM industrialization in the face of manifold uncertainties and some obstacles. After that, we'll go regional with 3 sessions exploring promising business cases in Asia-Pacific, Europe, and the Americas. After that, we'll pull together the main lessons learned with an overview on regional differences and similarities on the big picture globally. And our final session will drill deeper on sustainability before we close with words from our host. So that's the agenda. There's a lot to look forward to, both today and tomorrow. Just a very few quick housekeeping hints. You have an opportunity to pose and also to like questions from other speakers, both today and tomorrow. And I'm just going to see whether we get a slide for how to do that from our tech team. Maybe you've already seen it. These, of course, are the emergency exits that you are now seeing. Here we go. Okay, there's our slide. So please activate the barcode you see there, and with that barcode, you can pose your own questions or you can like questions that have been posed by others. I'm just going to give you a quick chance to do that before I tell you about the emergency exits. Okay, looks like most people already have that. So just a very brief word. Please do familiarize yourself with the emergency exits. It's pretty clear. You'll see them marked with the green exit arrows at the top of the stairs. And now, without further ado, Let us get started. Please welcome a regular on the startup circuit, a knowledgeable expert on new technologies, Sven Krause. Hey, Sven. Good to see you.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Melinda, for the really kind introduction. I still consider myself not as an expert, but at least I'm very happy to be here. And a warm welcome from my side to the AMTC 2022 startup event here in Munich. Great to have you here, honestly. Perfect. It's absolutely wonderful to welcome you in such a large number here in the Audimax at the Technical University of Munich. And I'm also super delighted to welcome you at home, in your offices, at the screens, because we have once again made it possible for you to not only follow the event live, but also to be a very interactive part of it. And please, make massive use of these opportunities. Exchange ideas with us, ask questions, tune in, and make this conference even more valuable through your intervention and your contributions. And this, of course, also applies to you here in the Audimax. So please, whenever you have a question, you too can place this question on our platform. And by doing so, you made it possible for me to get this question answered right here on stage. So please make use of that. I think you see again the Wi-Fi access data and the QR code here. So why is this so important? It were exactly these questions and suggestions that brought us to the focus of this year. Because the feedback of AMTC 2021 in Aachen was absolutely clear, and Melinda just mentioned it. Let's look into the regions. Where are we in international cooperation? Where are possible synergies? Where do we need to cooperate more strongly? Yeah. And I don't want to list again all the current crises again, but it's absolutely clear we are still and more than ever challenged to find solutions, to give answers, and to drive innovations. And talking about innovations, the first day of AMTC is once again dedicated to the companies of tomorrow, our startups. And this is a moment where I have to say thank you to the partners who made this event possible. So a big thank you goes to AM Ventures, Plug and Play, RWTH Innovation, and TUM Venture Labs. Thank you for making this possible. And of course, a big thank you also to the hosting partners, Oerlikon and the Technical University of Munich. I think this is worth applause. What do you think? Actually, we started already before this event when we had a very dynamic and informative speed dating where startups had the opportunity to meet potential investors and business partners. And this afternoon, we want to take you on a trip across the startup globe. We want to talk to people who need to know what the success factors are for startups in challenging times, and we want to explore opportunities to support the next generation of startups and experts. And then we want to round off the evening, of course, with a very intense networking session and our exhibition. But before that, we want to introduce you to 6 exciting startups in order to send you into your conversations with a maximum input and inspiration. Enough opening remarks from my side, I would say. Let's get on board. And this time I mean that quite literally, because the first speaker of this event today does this on a regular basis in order to find startups to shape the future of additive manufacturing with their ideas and innovations. Together with his team, he travels all over the world and has scouted countless startups so far. If there's anyone who can tell us and who can give us insight into the regions and the relevant startups there. It is the managing partner of AM Ventures. So please give a warm round of applause and welcome him on stage, Mr. Arno Held. Arno, please.
Wow, thank you very much for this very nice introduction. Thanks everyone for coming and joining here in this really impressive setup for this conference. Thanks to Earlycon, Professor Süß for hosting this great event for now so many years and building such a great community, and also for TUM for providing the great location. It's always a big pleasure coming back to here. Sven already said, my name is Arno Held. I'm one of two managing partners in AM Ventures. We're a 100 million euro venture capital fund that invests only in startups in additive manufacturing, but across the globe. Most of you we have already met or spoken to. It's always a really big joy coming back to this event, to this community, which we love a lot. In the next 15 minutes, a little bit less, I'm going to give you a little bit of insights, what's happening in the startup world. It's challenging times, a lot of turmoil, a lot of uncertainty, but I think I also have some good insights, some hope, some good news, and of course also some advice that we can give to navigate through these turbulent waters and through the fog which we are in right now until it lifts again. And we always have to remind ourselves, after winter comes spring. We just don't know how long the winter takes and how cold it's going to be. But it's certain that spring is coming. So let's look at what has happened in the past time. This is the number of startups that we have scouted for in the last 8 years since the inception of AM Ventures. 2,400 and something startups are in our database since 2015. They have a certain distribution all across the world. In the meantime, Asia Pacific has taken the leadership role in terms of volumes of startups that are being founded and funded. DACH region is still going extremely strong. It's a very small region, but providing a lot of the startups and a lot of innovation to our industry. And of course, North America, the third biggest among the giants in our industry. The interesting thing is the pie chart to your right. It's the distribution of startups in our industry according to the technical categories. So how does AM Ventures look at this world? We segment the AM industry into 4 different categories: hardware, software, materials, and applications. And for those of you who don't know, an application is a 3D printed product, a heat exchanger, an electric motor, eyewear, filters, footwear, for example. Over the last 8 years, less than 1/3 of the startups are applications. This is important to see and to bear in mind for later on. Now the world is changing, the world keeps on turning. We have certain hotspots which we are identifying where most of the additive manufacturing startups are born. And this is actually a snapshot that I took today from our scouting cockpit, from our database of the startups that have been founded this year, January 1st to this morning. Most of the companies are from Europe, and particularly in Germany. We have in the United States 2 hotspots, which are the coasts, or more precisely Silicon Valley and the Boston area. And a surprisingly high amount of startups stemming from China and India, and it's growing. There's a lot of dynamic happening, and particularly India. We are quite impressed to see what is coming out there, and we are increasing our efforts now to scout startups from the subcontinent, and we're even hosting a startup competition later this year in December, because this is a very much booming economy and an AM industry as well. Now, going one step deeper into the scouting funnel, into our deal flow, this is how we look at the world. We have a gigantic funnel of startups that are applying, a little bit over 220 so far that have applied for funding or through the network, through our website. We're filtering them down. They're going through different filter categories, evaluating startups according to capability of team, the innovation, technology, underlying business model, etc. In the end, some of them pass the filter. And right now, I would say we have about 4 or 5 startups in closer evaluation, negotiation, and about to be invested in through our fund. The regions are changing as well. EMEA is still very, very big. 50% of the startups that have applied are from Europe, Middle East, and Africa, or the DACH region and Europe particularly. Asia is getting bigger as well. North America takes a second place in the chart this year. The most important, and for us industry participants, the most encouraging trend that we are seeing is this one. I told you 3 slides back, that over 8 years of scouting activity, less than 1/3 of startups were based on applications. So developing 3D printed products and taking them to mass manufacturing level. Last year, in 2021, I introduced a similar chart here to open the conference. We had about 48% of the startups based on an application. This year, between January and this morning, 55% of the startups that we have scouted for are based on an application. Now, why is this so important? It's very simple. Applications are the justification for our work. You can build and develop as many machines as you want. You can develop as many materials as you want. You can write code as much as you want and automate all the different processes. If there are no applications that are being built on our machines, it's all worthless. We need to 3D print these products. 3D printing has the potential to change the world dramatically to the better. But these applications have to be developed and need to be scaled to mass level. And we had a really, really interesting discussion just before this part of the conference with the World Economic Forum, where we are talking about exactly these problems, how challenging it is to scale the applications that startups are developing. But later on, you will see there is good hope. We have a couple of really, really exciting highlights and major breakthroughs, particularly in the last couple of weeks, that give us a good reason for encouragement. Just flipping through the invested volumes, it is increasing, but as you can see in the picture, the road has hills and dips. We've had a hill behind us in 2021. There is a dip ahead, and we have no idea how deep it is. These are challenging times. We're certainly not going to reach the more than $1 billion invested volume, and certainly also not going to reach the level of M&A activity that we saw in 2020, nor in 2021. But there is encouraging level of M&A activity. The valuations have changed, the multiples have dropped, but companies are buying, the market is consolidating, and innovation is being funded and fueled increasingly on a growing level. 3 highlights that I would like to present you. One is nice to know. It was quite spectacular. I love it because I'm a cyclist. Filippo Ganna set a new world record, our world record, just the past weekend on a 3D printed bike that was tailor-made for him. Why is that so important? Just because someone cycles further in an hour is not so spectacular. The really spectacular thing is this world record has been improved over the last 22 years only on carbon fiber bikes. Nothing else. This bike was 3D printed in Scamaloy on an EOS machine, and it blasted the world record from 55 kilometers by 1.2 kilometers further ridden in 1 hour. And it's a major breakthrough because it was seen that additive manufacturing can create shapes that carbon fiber can't do. And this is a really, really impressive insight. More value is in healthcare. A really impressive application which I love very much, Belazeno, a startup team from Germany that has developed a very specific manufacturing technology with a very specific material to not only produce breast implants, but also scaffolds for bone. And the special thing about these implants is they are resorbable by the body. Now, we've seen this a couple of times in the past, but what is so special about this implant was implanted in a female body 2 years ago, and just a couple of months ago, there was an examination of the patient, and it was proven that the implant has been fully resorbed by the body. 3D printing can trigger revolutions. It takes longer than we expect and that we hope for, but these revolutions are happening, and this is just a couple of months old. This is a current breakthrough. Right now, this is happening, and we see these applications are now coming to the market and delivering value. Another application which gets me extremely excited, it's much, much smaller in terms of part size, and it might not occur that it's such a revolution, but some of you maybe have seen the article that was posted by Lego employees. This is a duck, a 3D printed duck. It's not an injection molded product with a 3D printed injection molding tool. It's an actual 3D printed part, colored and surface treated by a Bavarian startup based here in Munich and launched by Lego. And why is this so spectacular? Lego is the biggest toy manufacturer and plastic processor on this planet, the biggest toy manufacturer, tire manufacturer indeed as well. So imagine how difficult it is for them to get one product launched for commercial availability and sold to the end customer for just a couple of euros. Introducing a new technology to the R&D department, to product management, and launching a product. I was part of this journey for many years. I joined the industry 15 years ago, and we were already working on the Lego project back in 2007. Now, this is the very first of many products having been launched to the industry, to the broad market, to the broad mass. And this is extremely exciting because it means additive manufacturing is in households, is in kids' rooms and in their toy boxes. And this is extremely exciting for our industry. Of course, the times are challenging, extremely challenging. We have a lot of difficulties ahead, but we have a lot of highlights. We know that applications are coming. We see giants entering our business. Nikon just acquired SLM just a few weeks ago and has made a big statement and a big commitment to our industry. We see that value chains must be digitized. Whole supply chains have to move into virtual space, and additive manufacturing as the interface between the digital world and the real world is a driver of this. We are changing this planet dramatically to the better, and I'm convinced of that. Of course, we have geopolitical tectonic shifts, which is also an opportunity. Alliances are being redefined and reformed. So from my perspective, this is a big challenge, a big opportunity for the startups, because now you can be part of this tectonic shift. And the most important message, right now, we are in crisis. We are in an extremely difficult situation, but heroes are born in crisis. It's those who sustain and who can show a way out of crisis and can turn a customer pain into a relief, into a business opportunity that are going to win and that are coming out from the winter into spring with a lot of momentum and a lot of speed. You will see a lot of startups, exciting startups later on. There are great founders here, and I can't wait to hear them. So enjoy the evening, and thanks for listening to me.
Thank you very much, Arno. Great speech, encouraging speech, by the way. I'm looking forward quite positively. So there is a question from the audience, indeed. You were talking about that AM was better performing than the primarily carbon-produced bike, and the question was, what is your opinion then on carbon fiber additive manufacturing? It's a very specific question, but where do you...
It's a gigantic opportunity, you know, just because AM or metal can generate different geometries than carbon fiber doesn't mean we can produce all geometries. Carbon fiber additive manufacturing is a really interesting technology. Sometimes I have a little bit difficulties with the sustainability of this because you still need a tool to produce the carbon fiber geometry. So this is something that needs to be resolved. But in the end, if we want to reduce mass and make parts more lightweight and more energy efficient, definitely carbon fiber is one of the very big drivers.
I think we calmed him down, whoever asked that question. Is there any question from the audience here in the room? So we give you the chance, of course, to ask a question to Arno while he's here. Of course, he will join us later in the networking session. If there's no question, let me ask one. I remember in the last years, you always were talking about survival rates of startups. Have these figures changed? And is there, let's say, another ratio regarding the regions where the startups are from regarding survival rates? What do you experience, especially after the last 2 years?
I am convinced that the numbers are changing. They are constantly changing. Also particularly because the numbers of startups that are being founded is going up dramatically. We have hundreds of startups applying every year through our website and through the network. So these numbers are constantly changing. What we still see as a trend that is constantly reconfirmed, it's all about the region the region is a very important success factor where a startup is founded, because you have access to talent, you have access to industrial customers. Customers can fly in easily if you are in a place like in Munich, Aachen, of course, as well, Vienna, Zurich, the coasts in the United States. These are spaces that are attractive to live and attractive to travel to, because it's easy to get there, and there's a lot of availability of capital as well. So the region is certainly a very important success factor for a startup.
Cool, thank you so much. Again, a very interesting insight into the industry, very well traveled around the globe. Was fantastic to have you. Thank you so much, Arno. See you later in the network session. Mr. Arno, please. Danke dir.